A very good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I don't know what's going on in your life today, but even as you're listening to this podcast, I'm wishing you all the very best in your life. I'm wishing that your health is perfect. I'm wishing that your relationships are perfect, your pursuits are on. I'm wishing that your mind is sober and your mind is alert, and I'm wishing that there is direction and there is purpose in your life. I'm wishing that you be the man or the woman that you are designed to be in the first place. This is a daily podcast on the subjects of purpose, productivity, and resilience. Right now, we are doing a series in which we're talking about reputation. Been looking at the 7 ways to recover a dented reputation. We've just looked at 2 things so far, and we are still on the second thing that you and I have got to do, but this is broken down into 5 more steps. So the first thing we said that you need to acknowledge your mistakes, but then the second thing we're saying, go to ground zero. Where the problem is on ground zero. And what do you need to find on ground zero? We've been looking at some of the things we need to find. We've done 2. Let us continue doing this in this episode today. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Life Signatures podcast with Lawrence Namale. Lawrence is a life coach, author, and keynote speaker who loves to tackle different topics on purpose, productivity, and resilience. His mission in life is to awaken all your boundless possibilities available in you. Life Signatures podcast is dedicated to bring to reality every single person who knows that deep down in their gut, there's got to be more to life than this. And now, here is your host, Lawrence Namale.
So when you're going to ground zero, there are bits and pieces of information that are very critical. This gives you intelligence. What is ground zero? Ground zero is where you were or where you started that earned you the reputation that you got. It is also the place where you deviated from. So the first thing that we're asking ourselves at ground zero is, what was I known for? And in extension, we're also asking, what am I now known for? There is a gap. There is a standard deviation over there. But then the second question we're asking ourselves, we did that yesterday, is what did I deviate from? And what did we find out yesterday? We found out that deviation is always a heart issue. It is always a heart issue. Your heart grows cold. And the problem here, we said yesterday, is it is possible to continue with the charades. It's possible to continue the activities. I mean, you keep going to church every single Sunday, but you are rotten at heart. You keep on moving the activities, doing the activities that you started doing with your heart, but your heart grew cold, but you still participate in them. So there's a form of godliness and there's no power. There is a religious thing in there. Okay? But then the third thing that we need to find out on ground zero, number 3 today, on ground zero, when you are there, you need to ask yourself this question: what promise did I fail on? We talked about this earlier on, much earlier on. What promise? We said this when we were talking about this idea of promise. We say that a promise is integral in your reputation. When you have a reputation, it sends a promise out there. It becomes an expectation. In fact, when you do good things, not only do you earn a reputation, but you also earn expectation from people. It's like you don't even promise. They expect you. Now that you did it right last time, now that you've been doing it right over the past several years, Apple, it is a promise you've given us. We are expecting you to maintain those standards. So if you go to ground zero, you've got to ask yourself this question. Even though I did not stand out unequivocally to say, I promise A, B, C, and D, my disposition, my doing life, my processes in life have made a promise to the people to expect this from me, because that's what I've been standing for in the past several decades. Now the question that I'm asking is, what is it I have veered off? What promise am I failing to deliver? What is the expectation that people have on me that I'm no longer delivering? The information we get here might be the simplest piece of information to act on. Because remember, we're going to ground zero because we need fodder, we need data, we need intelligence, we need information, we need actable information. If there is such a word as actable, we need information that can be acted upon so that we can recover. And this information has got to do with expectation. Now, the question is, where do you get this information from? You can only get this information from the people who have held you in esteem. And now they are feeling like you lost it, bro. Now let me tell you something. People are, number one, very forgiving. You know why people are very forgiving? Because they are people, they are human. They are not angels. They are not gods. They are human. They also fail. And they see themselves in you when you fail. And that's why when, number two, you go to them, they are very accommodative. Especially if you show cause that you want to know what's wrong and you want to rectify. They want to tell you as it is. Some of them will want to tell you so that it hurts you. And it's good if it hurts you. They want to tell you as it is. Now the worst, let me tell you the worst. The worst are those ones who know that you are messed up, but they ain't going to tell you. They ain't going to give you the feedback. They say, good, you're doing good, man, bro. You're doing good. That's the worst. Don't call that a friend. A friend is a guy who's going to tell you as it is. But the thing is that you're going to find out from these people is, what did you promise them? And like I've said, let me just do it again. The promise is not something that you give by saying, I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. The promise is what some people derive from your reputation. They form expectations, just like you form an expectation out of Apple. Just like you form an expectation out of your presidential candidate. Not that they promised you something, but it's what they stand for. It's their values that they stand for. They create that particular promise. You know, an Obama will be eloquent. You know, a Trump will do exactly what he said. He's going to build a wall. You know he's going to be a wrecking ball. If it's a Trump, it's a promise. So the question is, you've got to find out, what did these people expect of me that was out of my reputation, even though I did not say it out loud? But it created a reputation, it created a promise, it created an expectation. Now, how am I deviating from that particular promise? A promise, once reneged on, will create not only a mistrust, but also it creates an animosity. It's like, I don't know you, man. I don't know you anymore. I don't know who you are. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. I don't know who you are. And you get shocked because they're talking that way. Because you never promised. You never promised, but you did actually promise because of your reputation and what you stand for. See, it will be important to note what promise you made and what you failed to deliver on. You can only find this out from the people. The Bible says that those who will ascend the holy hill, metaphorically, okay, it will be those who fulfill their promises even when it hurts them. There are some promises that are out of our reputation at some time that they're going to hurt us to deliver them. But that is that's the price we're going to pay for the recovery of our reputations that are lost. What is the promise? If the promise is quality, and you've spent money, and what you've delivered is not quality, you know what this is required of us? It requires of us to do what we call a restitution. In other words, to deliver again at no cost to the person who received it. That is maintaining the promise. At least if you cannot do that, at least acknowledge that this is not my standards. Or at least give some other avenues. I'm going to give you a discount on the next purchase. I'm going to give you one extra on the next purchase. Acknowledge that there is a promise that you did not live up to, and try and rectify it. But you cannot do this if you don't go back to ground zero. Ground zero is a place where you find out all these things. So number one, even as I do a recap and close, what is it that I was known for? That's the first place you find from, the first thing you find from ground zero. Number two, what have I deviated from? And then number three, what promise have I failed to fulfill? Well, tomorrow we're going to continue talking about this. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Life Signatures Radio. If you enjoyed today's show, subscribe to Life Signatures Radio on iTunes, Stitcher, or visit our website at lifesignatures.libsyn.com. Life Signatures Radio, fresh, clean, and inspiring.